Again, for all those who have dialed in, we will just give people, let's say I have 3:59 my time. So we'll give people 2 more minutes to dial in, as we've had quite a lot of people who have registered to this call. So I would like to give them a chance to dial in. I have 4 o'clock Central European time, 10 o'clock US time. So good morning and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of all of us at Greif, welcome to the Discover Greif webinar series. My name is Aysu Katun. I'm the Director of Sustainability at Greif, and I'll be your host for today's event. We are pleased that the global industrial packaging and paper packaging business units of Greif have joined together today to present this webinar on lifecycle services. And our presentation will focus primarily on solutions available in the US and across Europe. Today, we have a large group of presenters with us, so I'll just briefly introduce those that are presenting today. In addition to myself, we have Karen from our paper packaging business unit, and Chris, Veronique, Luca, and Raul from our global industrial packaging business unit. We'll be recording the webinar to share with those who cannot attend, and it will be sent out via email later today. And your account managers will have the PowerPoints to share with you with those of you who are interested. You will also see, as you can see on the slide, you will find a chat button where you can submit your questions to the panelists. Please feel free to submit your questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll respond to those at the end of the presentation. So during this short 1 hour, our team will review what and where we collect used packaging products, the recycling and reconditioning processes, some of our sustainability products, and the tools we provide to help you reach your sustainability goals. Finally, like I mentioned, we'll close with a brief Q&A session. So let's get started. So at Greif, we take sustainability very seriously. From the list of focus areas that you can see on the slide, you can see that we have one of the most comprehensive sustainability programs in the industrial packaging sector. We also have a long history of high sustainability performance verified by third parties. And we fully recognize our global responsibility. We're fully committed to driving sustainability along our value chain. And with our expertise, we're really here to help you reach your sustainability targets, provide you some options, and support you throughout your sustainability journey. Our circularity efforts are an integral part of our sustainability strategy. When we first conducted life cycle analysis of our products, what we found out was that the majority of our products' environmental footprint is associated with the raw materials that we use and what happens to our products at the end of their lives. And these findings helped shape our circular strategy. The first part of the strategy that you can see on the slide focuses on downgauging or reducing the raw materials that we use to produce our products or finding alternative raw materials. The second part focuses on the reduction of natural resources used and the waste that we create in our operations. So for example, we currently have 39 zero waste to landfill facilities globally. The third part of our strategy focuses on using recycled plastic resins, or PCR, in the production of our plastic products, which we will talk a little bit more about today. And depending on the amount of recycled plastic or PCR used, you can reduce your carbon footprint from the packaging products that you are getting from us by up to 55%. And the final part of our strategy, which is going to be the main focus of today's session, really focuses on providing collection, recycling, and reconditioning services for our used paper, plastic, and steel products, which can help reduce your carbon footprint by up to 75%, and also create a circular system where waste is minimized or even eliminated. Ultimately, our circularity strategy is focused on providing solutions to help you reduce the environmental impact of the packaging products that you get from Greif and help create a circular economy. So as you can see on the slide, our life cycle services includes the collection of used packaging products. It also includes reconditioning services, which can constitute things like cleaning, inspection, testing, reconditioning, reshaping some of the products or repairing. And for the products that cannot be reconditioned, we provide recycling services. And in addition, we also provide services like conducting waste audits or calculating the environmental footprint of your products through tools that we develop, like our Greif Green tool. So what do we collect? In North America, we collect used paper packaging products, such as cardboards for our paper packaging business. In both North America and Europe, we also collect steel and plastic drums and jerrycans and IBCs. In Europe, we also collect and recondition and recycle FIBCs. And collection is really key to creating a circular economy, because we actually, at Greif, we don't always know where our products end up. So collaborating with our customers is really critical in our ability to collect used packaging products, to divert them from landfills, give them a new life, and produce high quality PCR, which is highly needed, as I'm sure many of you know, in the market today. So Greif operates 21 paper recycling locations, which you can see on this map throughout the US. And we are continuing to evaluate more locations where we may have gaps in our coverage so that we might expand for growth opportunities and to align with our mills to grow our fiber supply. And here on the slide, you can see our recycling and reconditioning sites for our global industrial packaging business in North America. So these are the sites that collect used steel and plastic packaging products. The light green dots that you see are Greif sites, and the dark green ones are our partners that we work with. And to further strengthen our position as a global leader in industrial packaging, we have made a strategic decision to expand our network, especially in IBC reconditioning. And so last year, we actually expanded our footprint for collections in North America by investing in Centurion Container LLC. And on this slide, you can see our sites the same. Let's say the light green ones are our Greif sites, and the gray ones are the partners that we work with in Europe. And across Europe, we are continuing to do the same in terms of investments. So last year, we invested in Delta Containers, forming Greif Delta Plastics in Plastics UK in the United Kingdom. And we also invested in a company called LAF, spelled LAF, in Italy. For FIBCs, we have our REBU facility located in the Netherlands, which you will hear more about today. And it also provides recycling and reconditioning services, like I said, for FIBCs in Europe. And we're also expanding our recycling capabilities for FIBCs. We are currently building a new factory in Romania to recycle FIBCs, and in stage 1, it will have the capacity to process 6,000 tons of recycled PP and PE per year. And the facility is really designed for circular economy, so there will be no downcycling, and all recycled materials will be processed back into new FIBCs, and we hope to start our operations in Q3 of 2022. So all of these investments that I just went over are really in line with our strategic plan to expand and continually grow the life cycle services we can offer you to help you reach your sustainability targets and create a more circular economy. With that, I will now turn it over to my colleague, Karen Wilson.
Thank you, Asu. My name is Karen Wilson. I work for the recycling division within Greif's Paper and Packaging Services Group. Our recycling group, we operate 21 recycling locations, which you'll see here in the map on yellow. Our primary purpose within the recycling division is to help source fiber for our 14 recycled paperboard mills, which you'll see here on the map located in red. Greif makes a variety of paper packaging products made from 100% recycled paperboard. We have the largest footprint out of any of our competitors, with coast-to-coast representation throughout the United States. Like Asus mentioned, we're continuing to evaluate locations where we may have a gap in our service area so that we can expand for growth opportunities and also to help align with our mills to help source fiber. There's a sales representative located at each recycling location, and their primary focus is to provide sustainability solutions for companies, which in turn helps supply fiber for our plants and for our paper mills. As you can see here on our Greif life cycle, our paper and packaging services group is a fully integrated company making 100% recycled paperboard products and packaging. With our recycling group, we help collect, process, and bale recyclables at our plants to then be shipped to our paper mills. Our paper mill group then repulps those paper bales to be made into various paperboard and containerboard grades. Our converted products group then helps convert those rolls and those sheets to be made into finished paper products and packaging, which can range from corrugated boxes to tubes and cores and to other various paperboard products. In many cases, Greif representatives, sales representatives will share accounts between different Greif divisions. So digging a little bit deeper, our first approach is really starting with a waste audit. A recycling sales representative will visit your location to evaluate the waste and recycle stream at your business. We'll evaluate your volumes, the collection options, equipment needs to best determine the best option to recycle your materials, yielding your company not only the most competitive pricing available, but also providing you with the most sustainable long-term recycling solution. In addition to our recycling plant locations and paper mill locations, we're also the largest third-party mill procurement provider in the industry. This allows us to not only supply a steady fiber supply into our paper mills, but also provide various paperboard and recovered fiber grades into our trade paper mills in the US. We offer turnkey trade solutions with our mill procurement team and our brokerage services. We also provide specialty services within our recycling group. We have a designated team that can handle damaged, off-spec, aged, B-grade material in rolls and in sheets, any size, any condition, and any volume available. Our plants handle roll handling equipment, and we're serviced by major rail lines in the United States. We have a customer network of mills and converters in over 30 countries. And here you'll see on the next slide that, like I mentioned earlier, our life cycle, it's common for Greif to share accounts between different divisions. We'll make joint sales calls to identify solutions for companies not only to provide recycling solutions, but also to provide industrial products. For example, we partner with Mohawk Industries, one of the largest carpet manufacturers in the world, located in Dalton, Georgia. Our converted products group supplies them with recycled paperboard tubes and cores. And then our recycling group collects, processes, and bales the scrap at our recycling plants, where it then heads to our mill group. Our mill group repulps the material to make 100% recycled paperboard for our converted products group to manufacture more tubes and cores. Right here is a perfect example of how Greif's Paper and Packaging Services Group is a fully integrated company. So now I'll pass it on to Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I am Chris Wanamaker. I'm an account manager based in Greenville, South Carolina, but I also serve as the liaison, as Azu said previously, with our joint venture partner, Centurion Container. About a year ago, we joined the joint venture with them to broaden our collection efforts, and we teamed up with them because of their experience in the industry. This all to support our sustainability initiatives and improve our collection program. In the screen you're looking at, there are two types of programs, a closed loop and an open loop program. In a closed loop program, the customer is most likely a chemical manufacturer or a reconditioner that generates empty containers, either through raw materials coming in the door or collecting them from their customers. Either way, they're sending those containers back to the reconditioner to be cleaned for reuse or rebottled. In an open loop program, the customer is looking for disposition of these containers in an environmentally safe manner. So they reach out to the reconditioner, who collects them, cleans them, reconditions them, repelletizes, extrudes, and all of this for third-party sale. The benefits of this is that if you do generate good raw units, there's usually value there to the reconditioner, and there'll be compensation involved. It minimizes your risk by using a reputable reconditioner, but it'll support your sustainability initiatives. It also gets you to zero landfill objectives, and reduces your CO2 emissions. Everywhere in the world, there are different regulations in regarding the pickup of empty containers, and I would suggest that you contact your local rep to find out what those are. But at a minimum, we know that the container has to be empty, and we also need to know what it was previously contained. The washing and recycling and cleaning, all of that is based on what was previously contained in that drum or tote. So that's why that is important. But obviously, reusing the container is going to be the most sustainable because you're not having to invest in new parts such as rings, covers, and fittings. So the supply chain, it helps us all be better stewards of the environment, as well as reduces our overall packaging costs. The drum reconditioning process is something that happens every day, and this slide just basically details it. When Greif sells a drum to a chemical company, they're going to fill that drum and then transport it to their customer. In number 3, you see the unit is being used by the end user in their processes, but they're going to generate many empty containers. Most reconditioners are going to have minimum requirements before they pick them up. So in number 4, we're just showing them being warehoused until they meet those minimum requirements. The drums are then shipped back to the reconditioner, and at the reconditioning facility in number 6, they're going to evaluate how they're going to recondition that container, whether it's through a burn plant, a wash plant, if they're going to cut the head out of it, make it a open head drum. There's all kinds of different options. And then in number 7, you see that we have reconditionable drums. In 8, we're going to inspect that drum meets our quality standards, or it meets the UN markings that are on that drum. In number 9, we're going to inventory the drums and put like drums with like drums so they can be shipped back to the customer for refilling. This process happens every day, so you can see why in industrial packaging we have a very sustainable program in place that is behind the scenes for reuse of packaging. This picture basically shows a drum from the beginning arrival at our plants. Sometimes they look even rougher than that, believe it or not. But the drum is going to then be decided on whether to wash the drum or we're going to burn the drum. And the second picture there, it's a drum that shows the interior as well as the exterior of the drum being burnt. The next drum shows that it's very dented, and we can reshape that drum in the 4th drum there depicted. And then obviously we're going to put a new liner in it and repaint the drum. But you can see what looked like a liability now becomes an asset and is sold back to the customer and ready to be reused again. In plastic, however, we can't burn the drum, so there's only one choice, and that is to wash the drum. But based on what the drum previously contained is whether that drum or IBC can be reused. All drums and bottles are made with HDPE, and these, if the drum has a hole in it or the IBC bottle cannot be reused, we're going to grind that plastic, we're going to wash it, extrude it, repelletize it, and use it to what is described as post-consumed resin. Greif sells post-consumed resin drums that are reused every day, but also we use this PCR in our processes with our IBCs, such as making our feet or making our plates. So it's truly a cradle to grave when you talk about utilizing plastic drums and IBCs in our industry. When it comes to the collection of IBCs, I'm going to turn this back over to Veronique to go into detail on how we go about doing that. But I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Véronique Broutin. I'm Group Product Manager, Collection Service that I'm in France. Running the IBCs is essential to define which reconditioning process we are going to assign. The classification depends on the type of the product in and the specificities, the quality of the IBCs inside and outside. Once the IBC arrive on our site, they are graded in 3 categories: washable IBCs, IBC for rebottling, and scrap IBCs. The washable IBCs are cleaned with professional process with different steps: wash inside, outside, rinse, then dry, leak tested, and resale and control. For non-washable IBC, but the cage is okay, we remove the bottle, shred it, and send in big bag to PCR production. The used cage with the pallets are totally dedicated to rebottling process, and we put a new bottle in the cage, and the IBC are sold as rebottled. For non-reconditioned IBCs, the IBC are totally disassembled in order to separate the cage, the pallet, and the bottle, and all materials are recovered. And as for non-washable IBCs, the bottle is grinded and put in big bag, to PCR production. On the next slide, you will see some photos. Photo 1 and 2, you could see an IBC washing line with a conveyor, which allows the IBC to move forward in order to follow each step of the cleaning process. On the photo 3, this is part of the rebonding process, and you can see that we assemble a new bottle in a used cage to prepare a rebottled IBCs. On the next slides, I explained a little bit the laundry service. And the laundry service is a tailor-made solution for your empties packaging like IBCs, large plastic drums, jerrycans, and other packaging if needed. We have a real know-how of 20 years experiences in France in this service, for example, in detergent industry. But what does it mean exactly, laundry service? It's a complete management for all packaging, from collection of waste packaging to delivery of reconditioned packaging. This example in detergent activity can be, of course, be copy-pasted to other industry. In terms of collection, we collect packaging which have contained your products at your sites. You can see on the slide at your customer sites, as end users, and possibility to your partner sites. We collect with minimum from 4 IBCs to full truckload in 15 days, and we offer the possibility to mix load with other packaging. In terms of grading, we can, for IBCs, we create a dedicated grading with your requirements as filler in order to define which IBC you would like to take back after reconditioning, in order to be in line with quality, regulation, and specification needed for your applications. The IBCs that cannot be reconditioned are recycled with recovery of each material. In terms of process, on recon process, a procedure is specially created with for reconditioned process and is totally formalized. All reconditioned packaging are delivered to you or your partner with in full truckload. In terms of documentation and communication, to facilitate communication with you, between you, your customers, and ourselves, we offer a unique tailor-made collection requests, a central contact for all demands, grading letters for all collection, and monthly report can be sent to you. In conclusion, this service relies totally on sustainability program because it proposes a service to reuse the most as possible the IBCs. Now I'm pass on to Luca.
Thank you, Veronique, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luca Bettoni, and I am the IBC Global Product Manager in Greif. So I will describe now in the next slides what we are doing with this polyethylene, which is coming out from not washable packaging, basically. So as Veronique explained, so an IBC that is not washed, or a drum, or a jerrycan, is then transformed in recycled polyethylene, which is commonly called PCR, post-consumer resins, and it is used for producing historically external components of IBCs, like our plastic pallet or our feet of our hybrid pallet, as example. But now we are also producing heavily also packaging with this PCR in different technologies, so monolayer or multi-layer or coax, as it is called, and the sizes can be really variable, from small jerrycans to big drums or intermediate drums, and it is valid also for North America or in Europe as well. So you see that, for example, in this slide, we have a complete range of open-head drums which are produced either in North America or in Europe, jerrycans and tight-head drums up to 55 gallons. So really, there are many products, and one of the latest that has been developed is our GCUBE IBC with the inner bottle also made with post-consumer resin. So we are speaking about, in this case, multi-layer technology. The inner layer remains virgin polyethylene, and the external layer is made by transparent and transparent PCR, so translucent, and it's allowed also to see the filling level of the product. Moving to the next slide, we can also see that we are able, thanks to our green tool, to estimate what can be the benefit for you in moving from, I don't know, an 100% virgin container to a container made by a percentage of PCR. So this has been a tool developed by ISO and her team, and it's able really to provide an exact calculation about the scenario based on your specific numbers. And those are, for example, in this slide, just representing a scenario of, for example, an IBC, where the bottle is made 100% of virgin polyethylene, compared with the bottle made by 60% of PCR and 40% of virgin. So we are speaking about almost 18% of CO2 emission reductions, and even bigger when we are talking about jerrycans or drums, because this is very similar comparison, up to 30% of CO2 emissions. So in this case, you can discuss with your account sales manager, and you can ask for having specific calculation based on your real case scenario. So this is just two examples about two specific cases. Moving ahead, one of the latest development that we had applied on IBCs as well, and this is really helping for having a really life cycle of IBCs, is really IBC GCUBE Connect, where there is a device IoT based, so Internet of Things based, hidden into the pallet, which is communicating in every moment basically three information: where the IBCs are, what is the filling level of the product which is contained, and also the temperature environment. With this type of solution, you can proactively manage an IBC, because in this case, instead of just, I don't know, waiting for your customer to call you for the next order, you can anticipate and deliver the IBC filled before the customer is going to empty it. But on the other side, we can even collect proactively when the IBC is immediately emptied. And in this case, we can increase the number of IBCs that can be reused. So really a new technology applied to a packaging, and in this case, so you can reach out to me on any of your account sales manager where to go and deep investigate this solution. And then moving ahead to complete a bit the scenario about CO2 emission comparison, and this is applied, for example, of the complete life of an IBC. Here you can see a comparison between CO2 emissions for a complete new IBCs, for rebottled IBC with a traditional weight of 15 kilograms, rebottled IBC with one of the latest weight we have achieved in the bottle, which is 11 kilograms, or even in washing IBCs. Again, coming back to the fact that with this type of tool, we are able to calculate a potential scenario. So if you are using today IBC, you want to include some rebottled IBCs, you want to collect IBCs at your customer, and then to have some washed, as Veronique explained in this French case, but there are many, many others running in other cases. Really, we can develop any type of calculation because we are providing any type of ideas around the IBC management. So I now transition to Raul that will drive through the REBU process on FIBCs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luca. My name is Raul van Rattingen, General Manager of REBU, located in Moerdijk, the Netherlands. And my main responsibility is sales. REBU offers the reconditioning service for FIBCs and is with more than 25 years of experience in the field of reconditioning, market leader within Europe. First of all, I want to emphasize that our service is a laundry service. So we only collect and clean FIBCs for which we have a service agreement with the original owner of the FIBC. Our logistics service is unique. We have fixed logistic routes that guarantee frequent collection and deliveries throughout Europe. And if needed, customization outside Europe is possible in specific regions, but that mainly depends on distance in relation to volumes, of course. The reconditioning process with compressed air takes place inside the building with state-of-the-art machinery, of course, for cleanliness, but also for safety and environment. During the process, we don't have any pollution to the outside. If you look at the benefits of REBU, the reconditioning service, of course, the reuse of packaging material and therefore the decrease of your packaging waste. Reduction of the carbon footprint, about which I will explain more in the next slide, and decrease of your packaging costs and pay less taxes. Think about EU tax on single plastic use or EPR schemes to support the reuse of raw materials. It's also an excellent opportunity for you to offer an extra service to your customers, to the end user. Otherwise, if we don't collect, which we do on free of charge, they have to pay for waste removal. And last but not least, quick delivery times. We can collect and deliver within a month, and if needed, even quicker. Next slide, please. What you see here is the climate impact, a comparison between a new FIBC, the standard 4-loop FIBC, and a reconditioned FIBC. The CO2 estimate of a new FIBC, considering transport, converting, raw materials, end-of-life burdens and credits, is 7.61, while over a reconditioned bag, it's only 1.46. So a saving of 80% on your carbon footprint. Of course, this depends mainly on distance and volumes, but based on our experience, we can guarantee that it's between 70 and 80% on an average. If you look at the image on the right, you see a comparison of all environmental indicators. The blue line refers to the new FIBC, the yellow to the reconditioned FIBC. So as you can see, reconditioning contributes to a huge reduction on the environmental impact. Next page. What you see over here is a reference, some references of existing customers who've been with us for many, many years in all kinds of product fields like resins, glass fiber, titanium dioxide, and chemical powders, all leading in their industries. Thank you, and I want to pass to Aisu.
Thank you very much, Raul. We also, as Karen mentioned, offer services and tools to make it easier for you to get your used products recycled or reconditioned. So one of the things Karen talked about was waste audits, which is where we can, which is where we can identify current waste or recycle streams, determine outlets for different materials, and show the economic benefit of that for your business. We have also developed the Greif Green tool, which Luca has talked to you about. So he's shared some examples with you, but I would like to go into a little bit more detail about the Greif Green tool. It's basically a calculator that is based on independent life cycle analysis data of Greif products. So the tool was developed by a third party for Greif, and it's based on ISO standards. And it can calculate the carbon footprint of the products that you get from Greif. So you can establish, for example, a baseline of your environmental footprint from the packaging products that you get from Greif. And the benefit of that is that as you, let's say, purchase more sustainable products, or conduct or implement more sustainable practices and services, then you can actually track your progress and report it to your external stakeholders. And this is especially important for companies who have, for example, emission targets, waste targets, or circularity targets. And you've seen some examples of the types of analysis that we can do with the Green tool, but it's really designed to run different types of scenario analysis to choose the most, for you to choose the most sustainable option. So for example, like the examples that you've seen, you can compare the carbon footprint of a new product versus a reconditioned product, or a product that's made with virgin materials versus a product that's made with recycled raw materials. You can look at transportation options to optimize your transportation so that you can reduce your emissions. So you basically, the multitude of scenarios that you can run with the tool is limited, but let's say limitless almost. And it can be really, really customized for your particular business. And this tool is really, like I said, designed to help you make informed decisions so that you can reach your sustainability targets. And basically the way it works is you can get in touch with your account manager, or you can get in touch with me directly if you want to analyze some of these different options, or let's say you just want to find out the carbon footprint of a single product or a full portfolio of products. You can get in touch with us so that we can run that analysis for you and walk you through the process. So that really takes us to the end of the presentation, but I'll wrap up with this before we move on to your questions. You know, if you look at the environmental challenges the world is facing, such as the global waste crisis, they're really profound systematic challenges that can only be addressed by all players involved and working together. So we can only start to tackle some of these issues we face if we, for example, are all aligned on our goals along the value chain, if everyone in our organizations work together towards those targets, and across our value chains, if we all work together and collaborate. And ultimately at Greif, our entire goal is to provide you with options and solutions and to help you become more sustainable and help you reach your sustainability targets so that we can collectively tackle these larger issues we face as a society. With that, I would like to thank our panelists who have a wealth of knowledge and information between them, and we're very fortunate to have them on the Greif team. And maybe we can answer some of your questions now that we have received.
Sure, Isu. So we've got a couple of questions. I'm going to start with one of the obvious ones, and this one we've prepared for. We didn't talk much about fiber drum reconditioning because there's some challenges involved in reconditioning fiber drums. And we prepared a slide just as an information resource for you. And Karen, maybe you can add some commentary about what work Greif is doing internally to find a solution for fiber drums recycling.
Thank you, Cheryl. Just so everyone knows, this initiative is very important for Greif to help recycle these fiber drums that we manufacture. We need the fiber for our paper mills. One of the challenges is the freight piece of everything. Getting the fiber drums from the generator to our paper mills can be economically challenging. So we have a team in place right now that's in the process of working towards a solution. But again, it is an important initiative for Greif, and we're working on a process towards a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, as Isu mentioned, feel free to type your questions into the chat button and we'll get those answered. One of the questions was regarding Canada. We actually have a couple, we focused a lot on the US and we focused on Europe during this presentation. Barry, not sure if you could give us a little insight, any thoughts on where we're going in Canada? Oh, in addition, folks, we have a couple of other people joining us that did not present, but are experts in the industry, and we have them on the call as well to help us answer any questions. So Barry Wingard, would you like to address that one?
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. I'm Barry Wingard, and I'm a manager for container lifecycle management, the reconditioning arm for Greif in North America. And at this time, Canada is, we've got limited service there. We're working on some options in Canada, but it's such a vast area that it's difficult to provide adequate coverage there from just one or two sites that we currently deal with. So that would be, just a case-by-case basis there to see if we can offer any collection help there on the industrial packaging side of it. Now, I'm not sure, maybe Karen can speak to the PPS side of it in Canada, if that was where the question was directed. Thanks.
I'll chime in, Barry. In regards to Canada, we currently do not operate any of our recycling locations or paper mills in Canada, but we have a number of locations close to the border. So we do have recycled fiber suppliers and customers that are located in Canada. So even though we don't have a location there, we do have options to help recycle certain grades. Everything has to be looked at into more detail, but thank you.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thank you. And while we're talking about regional solutions, Isu, maybe you can share with the group, why we focused on US and Europe. Maybe you can talk to, initiatives maybe in Latin America or in APAC that Greif may be looking at, or how we might come about that if you're in that region and interested in reconditioning. Sure.
So they are both Latin America and APAC are regions that we are constantly looking into. We currently don't have our own facilities in either of those regions. When one of our customers is interested in those areas, we basically identify partners that they can work with. The challenge that we see in APAC is more regulatory. So each region, for example, within China has its own regulations. So for example, let's say our customer is in one region and we need to collect their used drums in that region and bring it to our, let's say, a facility in another region. There are very strict regulations on preventing us from doing that, especially if it's a hazardous material. So there are quite a lot of regulatory challenges, especially in APAC. So that's why up until now, we've really worked with partners that we can identify, that we can refer our customers to. Having said that, over the last, I would say 6 months to a year, we've heard from a lot of customers, especially in APAC, very interested in reconditioning services. So if you are one of those customers, please get in touch with us, because we, as you can imagine, we need to build a business case around it, and we need to make sure that we have the volumes to be able to create a facility or form a joint venture there. So if you're interested, please let us know, and that will help us basically build that business case.
Great, thank you. So a couple questions. I hope I'm interpreting these correctly. One is with regards to options of use of PCR material for non-food contact layer. Luca, I'm not sure if you understand that question or not, with regards to PCR and food.
I assume the question is related to the usage of PCR in food application. And this moment, we are not using it for food application, because despite we are using the multi-layer technology, there is always in plastic the risk of migration of product through polyethylene, because polyethylene is not a food barrier. And then PCR can remotely contaminate the product which is contained into the packaging. So in this moment, the PCR is used for chemicals application, non-food applications. And then for what concerns the UN approval, the jerrycans and the drums can be and are in some cases and some locations also UN approved with PCR. And IBCs in this moment cannot be UN approved by the law if there is a usage of PCR. But in all cases, we are not using it for food application. There is now a process in place that we are working on together with resin suppliers for a chemical recycling of ethylene in order to generate polyethylene out of this renewed ethylene, and this could be food approved. But in this case, is still work in progress, and it will take a few months. There are still some prototypes coming out from those type of processes, but it will come in the coming months. So we will keep you updated on those progresses because we are very, very interested in this type of results, because this combine sustainability, but also the combination with food approved.
Yep, great, thanks. Thanks, Luca. There's a couple other really specific questions that I think it would be best if we take those offline and we contact you directly. We'll definitely do so afterwards. So give us a few hours to sort through these and get them off to the right person. There is one question about, is reconditioning of drums eligible for carbon credits? So do you know anything, or Barry, anybody know?
Yeah, so this is actually something that we are looking into ourselves. You know, we've just announced our Scope 1 and 2 emission targets, and we will take the next actually 2 years to dive into our Scope 3 emissions. And for us, Scope 3 emissions comes from, for example, the raw materials that we purchase and what happens to our products at the end of their lives. So this is a critical issue for us too, as I suspect for our customers too. So this is something that we're actually looking into. It is, for most companies, would be in the Scope 3 emissions category. And what we've been told by our consulting company, ERM, is that depending on how you calculate your emissions, you would be able to take credits for it, but it's something that we are diving into. And I can definitely, once we find out ourselves, I can definitely get back to you on that.
Great, thank you. One of the questions just popped in. Obviously, we've had some raw material challenges with steel, getting new steel. The question says, do you think offering good quality recycled steel containers will help solve this? Barry, Chris, do you guys have any input or thoughts on that you want to share?
Yes, Cheryl, we do offer that service now. We do quite a number of reconditioned steel drums that do help take some of the sting out of the steel tightness right now. I'm not sure about Europe, how much is actually going on over there, but in this country, just I think in America last year we did about 22 million reconditioned steel containers, as opposed to about 24 million new containers. So it's a very close diametric relationship between new steel and reconditioned steel in the United States. Not sure about Europe.
Great, thank you.
And I think one thing that I can add is globally, one of the things that we are doing now, because of the not only because of the shortages, this has actually been part of our strategy for the last 10 years, is down gauging. So down gauging our steel drums. On the plastic side, we also do lighter steel, plastic drums. We also do lighter plastic drums too, but on steel drums, we do down gauging, which also helps with the shortages that we're experiencing. And as a side benefit, let's say you can actually reduce your carbon emissions and material use, obviously, when you down gauge steel drums as well. And we can make those calculations with the green tool if you're interested, and we can show you the carbon, let's say, reduction benefits as well. And I think I've also seen a question on whether or not we can test the green tool and calculate for a customer in Sweden. Absolutely. We can use this tool for any of our customers located anywhere in the world. So absolutely, if you're interested, please get in touch either with your account manager, or you can get in touch with me, and we can definitely use the tool for whatever you need.
So I think that brings us close to wrapping up. So I'll turn it back over for you to close.
Wonderful. So before we wrap up today, I would like to put up a quick question on your screen. We have covered a lot of topics today, and we would just like to know from you if you would like a Greif representative to contact you for further information. And please feel free to reach out to your account managers if you would like additional support or information, or any of us who've presented today. And we also encourage you to also follow us on LinkedIn to stay up to date with the Discover Greif webinar events that will be coming up soon, as well as engage with us in all things important to industrial packaging. So with that, again, thank you for attending. Thank you to our panelists, and we wish you a wonderful day.